Even when you don't feel ready, you must train your mind. Stop dreaming of a perfect life. Start living like someone awake. That is what I want to tell you, not as a stranger, but as someone who has once been lost in the illusions of modern life. We live in an era that appears civilized, yet is fraught with spiritual pitfalls. We compare ourselves to artificial images. We wait for a vague tomorrow, and we chase after perfection painted by the outside world. But life doesn't wait for you to become perfect. Life only changes when you change. When you pause, not give up, but turn inward to the only place you truly have control. As a follower of Stoic philosophy, I do not seek to control the world. I learn to master myself. And today, I will share with you 10 Stoic lessons, not to comfort you, but to awaken you, to ignite the courage within you to act, and to plant the seed of a resilient life that grows from the inside out. Lesson 1. True happiness comes from within. In a world constantly telling you to chase more success, more approval, more possessions, it's easy to believe happiness is something out there, waiting to be earned or found. But Stoic philosophy cuts through the noise with a truth so clear, and yet so often ignored. True happiness doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from how you think about what happens to you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That isn't a poetic exaggeration, it's a call to arms. It means that your inner world, not your circumstances, is where your real life happens. You can be surrounded by chaos and still be at peace. You can lose everything and remain whole if your mind is disciplined, if your values are grounded, and if you stop outsourcing your worth to things you can't control. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. When you pour all your energy into trying to impress others or fit into expectations, you lose yourself. But when you redirect that energy inward into understanding your emotions, challenging your assumptions, and sharpening your character, you begin to build something no one can take away. That is the foundation of true happiness. It's not easy. It takes strength to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. It takes courage to stop blaming the world and start holding yourself accountable. But this is exactly what Stoicism teaches. You must force yourself to act even when you don't feel ready. You must train your mind the way a warrior trains for battle, not with anger, but with calm, focus, and relentless discipline. Change doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you stop waiting and start working on yourself, not on the world. You can't control whether people treat you fairly, whether your plans succeed, or whether the future turns out how you hoped. But you can control how you respond. You can control your habits, your mindset, and the story you tell yourself every day. And this is where happiness lives, not in the outcome, but in the effort. Not in the applause, but in the integrity. When you live in alignment with your values, when your thoughts are clear and your actions intentional, you begin to experience a kind of peace that no external success can replicate. That peace isn't loud, but it's steady. It doesn't shout, but it carries you through storms. So focus on yourself, not to escape the world, but to lead yourself through it. Not to isolate, but to strengthen. And when you force yourself to act, not recklessly, but with purpose, you begin to change your life. Not overnight, not all at once, but from within. That's where it starts. That's where it always starts. Lesson 2. Learn to say no. Live true to yourself. We agree to things we don't want to do, attend events we're not excited about, and carry burdens that were never ours to begin with. Why? Because we're afraid. Afraid to be disliked. Afraid to be misunderstood. Afraid that saying no makes us selfish. But here's the truth. Saying no doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you know who you are. The Stoics were clear on this. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid about external things. To live by your own principles in a world that rewards people-pleasing is a kind of rebellion. And rebellion, when it's rooted in self-awareness, becomes strength. When you say no, you are not rejecting the world. You are choosing yourself. You are protecting your energy, your values, Yes to working on what matters, to resting when needed, to honoring your priorities, not someone else's urgency. Saying no is not closing doors, it's opening the right ones. And make no mistake, it's hard. You will disappoint people, you will face pushback. But isn't it far worse to disappoint yourself? When you live your life trying to please everyone, you trade your only chance at meaning for temporary approval. You stop being the author of your own story and become a footnote in someone else's. Learning to say no is how you reclaim that authorship. It's how you become someone your future self can respect. Not someone who was always agreeable, but someone real, grounded, free. So the next time you feel that familiar pressure to nod, to smile, to comply, pause, breathe, and remember, you are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to live true to yourself. Lesson 3. Do everything with intention and soul. Every morning, when you make your bed with full presence, tugging the sheets tight, smoothing out the wrinkles, aligning the pillows, you're not just tidying a room. You're training your mind. You're grounding your spirit. This small act, done with full intention and soul, becomes a quiet rebellion against chaos. It's a way of saying, I am here. I am in control. I begin my day by choosing how I show up. It sounds simple, almost soft, but in a world built on distraction, emotional numbness, and endless performance, this idea is radical. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control outcomes, but we can control the way we approach every moment. That's where our power lies, not in the applause, not in the result, but in the act itself. When you choose to show up with presence, you reclaim ownership of your life. It's easy to focus only on external results, the job promotion, the six-pack, the numbers in a bank account. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Being one, being good, being strong, being true, means doing even the smallest acts with soul. That's what builds character. That's what makes a life unshakable. When you focus on yourself, you're not turning inward to escape the world. You're turning inward to fortify yourself against it. And one of the most powerful tools you have is deliberate action. Force yourself to act not like a machine running on deadlines, but like a human being acting with purpose. Wash the dishes like it matters. Write the email like someone's dignity is on the line. We often think we need to escape somewhere quiet to find clarity. A mountain, a beach, a retreat far from the demands of life. But the Stoics knew the truth. Silence is not a place, it's a discipline. It's a strength you build by turning inward, even as the world outside screams for your attention. True transformation begins the moment you stop running from your own thoughts. Because here's the hard truth. Most people aren't afraid of silence. They're afraid of what silence reveals. In the stillness, there are no distractions, no noise to hide behind. Only you, your fears, your regrets, your unrealized potential. But that's where the work begins. In the quiet, you can finally hear what truly matters. When you strip away the opinions of others, the noise of social media, the never-ending chase for approval, what's left is the raw voice of your own reason, the foundation of Stoic thought. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, not others. Epictetus reminded us that external events are nothing compared to how we choose to interpret them. And why Seneca urged us to retreat into ourselves, not to escape life, but to engage with it more powerfully. Cultivating inner silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating space. 5 minutes a day. No phone, no music, just you. Let your thoughts surface. Let your emotions breathe. You don't need to judge them. You need to face them. That's how you stop being a prisoner of impulse and become a master of yourself. Because when you can be calm in chaos, when your mind is still while the world spins, that's when you become unshakable. And from that stillness, you act not out of fear, not out of pressure, but from clarity and purpose. That's where real change comes from, not in the noise, in the silence. So if you're serious about changing your life, don't just force yourself to act. First, force yourself to be still. That's where strength is born. But silence is only the beginning. Once you learn to quiet your mind, the next challenge is even harder: protecting your time. Because the most valuable currency you own isn't money, attention, or talent. It's time. And in Lesson 5, we'll explore why every second you waste isn't just lost. It's stolen from the life you could have lived. Are you ready to reclaim it? Lesson 5. Value your time like gold. You say you want to change your life. You say you're tired of feeling stuck. But the truth is, change isn't just about wanting, it's about acting. And to act, you need to respect the most valuable resource you have. Not money, not connections, time. Every time you scroll social media for 2 hours each night, you're not just wasting time, you're throwing away over 700 hours a year. That's nearly a full month of your life gone. For what? A few cheap laughs, some empty entertainment, or watching other people live the life you say you want. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Nothing is more precious. Every moment that passes is a moment you'll never get back, and yet we treat it like it's infinite. We delay dreams. We postpone goals. We say, "Not today," like tomorrow is guaranteed. But it's not. And deep down, you know that. Time doesn't scream when it leaves. It doesn't slam the door. It slips away quietly. But the echo of wasted time, that lingers. The regret of what you could have done, who you could have become, that stays with you. So ask yourself, are you spending your time building your life? Or are you spending it avoiding the hard work it takes to change? To focus on yourself means to stop giving your best hours to distraction and instead invest them in who They rely on action, day by day, hour by hour. That's how real change happens. And if you've made it this far, halfway through this journey with us, I want to say thank you. Your time is valuable, and you've chosen to spend some of it here. That means something. It means you're not just listening, you're looking for change. You're searching for something deeper, and I respect that. If this video spoke to you, if it woke something up inside you, then like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not for us, but for yourself. To keep going, to keep building momentum. Because in the next lesson, we're going to talk about what really drives transformation. Not motivation, discipline. Not motivation is coming next. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Lesson 6. Discipline is power, not motivation. We often wait for motivation, wait for clarity, wait for the right time. But what if the right time never comes? What if motivation is nothing more than a fleeting mood, not a force you can rely on? The Stoics had no patience for waiting. They believed life is too short and too uncertain to delay action. You weren't born to hesitate. You were born to act. Think of Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL commander, author, speaker, and the embodiment of relentless discipline. Every single day, without exception, he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. Not because he feels like it, not because it's easy, but because he's made a choice to own his time rather than let life own him. While the world sleeps, he's training his body, sharpening his mind, and pushing his mission forward. There's no fanfare, no drama, just brutal consistency. Jocko doesn't wait for motivation to strike. He knows motivation is fleeting, unreliable, but discipline shows up. Discipline is dependable. He said it clearly. Discipline equals freedom. And it's true. Discipline frees you from regret. It frees you from chaos. It frees you from being at the mercy of emotion or circumstance. His life is proof that discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. Not everyone needs to rise at 4:30, but everyone needs a standard, a code, a commitment to act, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because that's how you change, not in grand moments of inspiration, but in daily choices made with clarity and grit. Discipline is the real superpower. Here's the truth. Anyone can act when they feel good. That's easy. But greatness is built in the days you feel nothing and still choose to move forward. A writer who writes every day, even when uninspired, will have a draft in a year. Someone else who waits for inspiration might still be stuck on chapter 1 5 years later. The only difference, one showed up regardless of mood, the other didn't. Discipline is the bridge between thought and transformation. It's what allows you to rise when you don't want to say no when temptation whispers yes, to keep showing up when the world isn't watching. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It's brutally simple. Decide, then act, and act again. But don't think discipline requires some dramatic overhaul of your life. It starts small. A 5-minute walk every morning, turning off your phone for 1 hour. Write 1 sentence a day. These tiny habits might seem insignificant, but they are the seeds of massive change. Consistency compounds. One drop becomes a stream. One choice becomes a character. When you focus on yourself, you reclaim control. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your life. You stop blaming circumstances. You start building one disciplined act at a time. The The Stoics would ask, is your will stronger than your mood? Can you force yourself to do what's necessary, not what's comfortable? Because the truth is this: discipline frees you. It gives you strength. It makes you dangerous not to others, but to your own excuses. Discipline is power, and the moment you stop chasing motivation and start creating structure, your life begins to change. Not someday, now. Lesson 7. Free yourself from the opinions of others. There's a quiet prison we carry with us every day, a mental cage built from the thoughts of others. We hesitate to start that personal project, not because we're incapable, but because we're afraid of what they might say. We censor ourselves in rooms where we should speak. We shrink our dreams to fit the mold of someone else's comfort. But here's the truth: the life you want will never be approved by a committee of strangers. Marcus Aurelius said it plainly: I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. This is not just a clever quote, it's a call to liberation. Your duty, according to the Stoics, is to live in accordance with reason and virtue, not in accordance with applause. When your actions are rooted in integrity and guided by conscience, there is no need to justify your path to anyone. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is essential. Every time you defer your desires, your instincts, your inner calling just to maintain someone else's comfort, you betray the part of you that longs to grow. It's easy to become a slave to perception, to let imagined criticism halt real progress. But the longer you wait for the world to let you, the longer you'll sit still, unfulfilled. True change begins when you stop waiting for permission. The moment you force yourself to act, in spite of fear, in spite of noise, you reclaim your agency. And yes, it takes forceful willpower pressed against the gravity of doubt. It's uncomfortable, but so is regret. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Extend this idea to approval. The more you crave validation, the poorer your spirit becomes. When your value is outsourced to others, you become bankrupt the moment they disapprove. But when you define your worth by your own principles, you build something unshakable. So begin the project, share the idea, change your habits, chase what stirs your soul. Will people talk? Of course, let them. Their words will pass like the wind. What stays is the life you build, not the opinions you avoided. You don't need anyone's permission to be who you are. You only need the courage to stop asking for it. Lesson 8. Embrace discomfort. That's where you grow. We all crave comfort. It's human nature. The warm bed, the easy routine, the familiar conversations. We cling to them like a safety net. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Comfort is a slow killer. It lulls you into stillness. It whispers, "You're fine where you are." And just like that, your dreams start to decay. Not because you weren't capable, but because you refused to be uncomfortable. Growth only comes through struggle. Think about it. Your body doesn't grow stronger by resting. It grows when it's pushed to the limit. That exhaustion you feel after a 6 a.m. workout, it's not a sign to stop. It's proof that you're alive, that you're fighting for a stronger version of yourself. Discomfort is not the enemy. It's the forge where resilience is made. If you're waiting to feel ready, you never will. If you're waiting for the fear to prison disguised as peace. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean you have to suffer endlessly. It means you stop avoiding the small, necessary battles. It means waking up earlier than you want to, saying no when it's easier to say yes, speaking your mind when silence would keep the peace. Taking a cold shower is not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself that you are not ruled by cravings. Simplicity is a stoic weapon. When you strip life down to its essentials, you discover how strong you really are. You no longer need approval to act. You no longer need perfect conditions to begin. You become self-powered, and nothing shakes that. Look closely at what you've been avoiding, whether it's a difficult conversation, a new discipline, or a long overdue change. That thing you fear most, it's your path. Your freedom lies on the other side of resistance. You will not find peace by hiding from discomfort. You will find it by walking through it. So don't ask for an easier life. Ask for the strength to handle a harder one. Focus on your own path, not to escape the world, but to become someone who can stand firm in the world. If this hits something deep in you, if there's a part of you that knows you've been holding back, drop a comment below. What's the discomfort you've been avoiding? What's one action you're ready to take today that scares you but might just set you free? You grow where it hurts, and that's exactly where you should go. Lesson 9. Master your inner dialogue. Do you say, "I can't" to yourself every day? "I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I'm just not good enough." These aren't just harmless thoughts. They're instructions, and soon you start to obey them. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But your reaction is born from your interpretation, and your interpretation comes from the words you feed yourself over and over in the silence of your own mind. Your inner voice is your compass or your cage, and most people never question it. They accept the negativity, the fear, the self-doubt as truth. But what if it's not true? What if it's just a habit? A script you've been reciting for so long that you forgot you could rewrite it. To master your life, you must master your inner dialogue. You must become the watcher, not the victim of your thoughts. Imagine this. You hear yourself say, "I'm not ready." A stoic doesn't argue. A stoic observes, is this thought useful? Does it serve my growth? If not, let it go. Replace it, not with empty affirmations, but with rational, empowering truths. "I don't feel ready, but I can act anyway." That's a strength. This is not about fake positivity. It's about choosing the voice that aligns with your highest self, the one that calls you forward, not holds you back. The Stoics knew you are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them, and you can choose which ones to follow. So force yourself to act, not because it's easy, but because your soul is asking for more. Focus on what you can control, your actions, your effort, your mindset. Talk to yourself like someone you deeply care about. Be honest, but not cruel. Be realistic, but never small. The words you speak to yourself become the world you live in. Change the dialogue, and you'll change your direction. This is how Stoicism becomes real, not in the books, but in your daily battles with fear, laziness, and doubt. Each time you choose courage over comfort, you are becoming who you were meant to be. not in a tragic accident, not because of reckless choices, but simply because life doesn't follow our plans. It arrives without warning and leaves just the same. But if you had met John, you wouldn't mourn the years he didn't get. You'd be in awe of how fully he used the ones he had. John lived with urgency, but not panic. He wasn't rushing. He was awake. Every morning, he was treated as a gift, not a guarantee. He pursued work that mattered to him. He told people he loved them, even when it felt awkward. He tried, failed, laughed, apologized, and tried again. He didn't wait for a better time to start living. Meanwhile, you might know someone who's 80 today, still breathing, still going through the motions. But when you ask what they've lived for, what set their soul on fire, you get silence. They've filled decades with distractions. They've existed, yes, but they've postponed life so many times that they forgot how to begin. The tragedy isn't dying young. The real tragedy is never truly living, no matter how many birthdays you count. This is the harsh but liberating truth Stoicism teaches us. Life is brutally short, but that's not a reason to fear. It's a reason to focus. The Stoics didn't talk about death to depress us. They talked about it to wake us up. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." It's not morbid. It's a call to urgency. A reminder that you don't have time to waste being who you're not, doing what doesn't matter, or waiting for permission to begin. You won't change your life by accident. You won't become who you're meant to be by waiting. At some point, you must force yourself to act, not with anger, but with clarity. You must shake off the comfort of routine and confront the reality that no one is coming to save you. No ideal conditions will magically appear. This moment right now is all you have, and in that, there is immense power. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's essential, because when you become disciplined with your time, intentional with your energy, and honest with your values, you start living in alignment. You start saying no to the noise, to the distractions, to the false sense of forever that lulls so many into passive living. You stop scrolling, stop comparing, and start creating, building, doing. And the more you act, the more you grow, not just externally, but internally. You stop surviving life and begin owning it. Too many people live as if they have endless tomorrows, but you don't, and neither do I. That's not cause for despair, it's motivation. Real change starts when you stop negotiating with yourself, stop delaying your potential, and finally say, enough. Enough wasting time. Enough waiting for a sign. Enough shrinking your life to fit the limits of your fears. John didn't wait, he lived. Fully, urgently, with intention. That's not about how long you live. That's about how deeply you live. So, remember this. Life is brief. You are here. The time is now. Focus, act, and live like it means something, because it does. Every Stoic lesson shared today isn't meant to sound good. It's meant to be lived. Stoicism is not philosophy for theory. It's a blueprint for action. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. That's not realistic. What matters is choosing one thing, just one, and doing it with consistency. Discipline compounds, focus sharpens, and over time your life transforms from the inside out. So start now, not tomorrow, not when it feels easier. Start by focusing on yourself. Take action, even small steps, and build a life that aligns with who you truly want to be. Let this be your daily reminder. I focus on myself, act every day, and build a meaningful life. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care of your mind, your choices, and your inner peace. That's real health. That's real strength. Stay well.